And humanity's just always going to have these problems. But nobody ever considering that it's just like Jesus taught, that money, the love thereof, is the root of all the evil. He did not say some of the evil, all of the evil. And the way to freedom, the way away from this evil that is running roughshod over all our lives, affecting our hearts and our minds and our spirits, affecting our society, affecting our brothers and sisters. Everybody out there is being affected in ways that I haven't stumbled upon, but they're very real. You know, that my mood is affected. I mean, the spraying of chemtrails, all this is about money. Okay, because if somebody's not getting paid, they're not going to be spraying chemtrails. They're not going to be putting GMOs in your food or poisoning your food and water. Okay, all these things will dissipate with sound currency, because what it does, it creates a rising tide of prosperity, lifting all ships and bringing equality and liberty and freedom to everybody. This is where we have to take this thing. But you see, if humanity ever had a taste for any substantive period of sound currency, we would discover what was giving us that sound currency, whereby your money was worth more tomorrow than today. That is the measure, that is the litmus test, that is how you can identify your currency as being sound or unsound. And my whole life I've been living with unsound currency. JFK tried to give us sound currency with the silver-backed currency. You see what happened to him. These people at the very top, the top money lovers, this murderous gaggle of thugs, they will not tolerate competition, because competition is capitalism. It's true free market supply and demand. And this will give you freedom. This will give you sound currency, a gradual path to freedom, to where money is gradually rendered irrelevant. Nobody cares. Everybody's got so much that they don't know what to do with it. We serve each other because it's an instinct to want to not sit around and being self-serving and selfish. We want to do stuff. We want to, by nature, be appreciated. We want to use our talents. Okay? It's a natural born gift of God that things will work. We can get together and live together in peace and harmony on the face of this earth. Don't believe the lie. Don't believe otherwise. Okay? Because that's all that's been peddled to us, is that, oh no, we've got to have poverty. Even Jesus said, the poor you will always have. He said that because he wanted the focus to be on the poor. The gospel, the good news was he came to preach to the poor, so that you understand that, hey, don't covet the rich. Don't want what they have. Why trade one form of fear for another? Okay, because that's what you have. He stated plainly, the rich fear they will lose, and the poor fear they will never have. Well, I'm poor, and why should I strive to be rich if I'm just going to trade one fear for another? I've got to want more than that. I've got to want wealth for everybody, for you, for him, for her, for all of us. That's the only path to happiness for me. I cannot attain prosperity in this world and enjoy it, okay, without knowing that it's growing for everybody, that at least we're all on the path to freedom through prosperity. When you serve your fellow man, you want to do it because, by gosh, nothing's going to stop you, because you want to. There's no ulterior motive. It's pure love, man. It's pure joy. It's pure recreation. That's what it is. That's the way it can be. And people are truly doing what they love all the time. We can get all sorts of projects done, all sorts of infrastructure. We can have factories, and you know, our work week would be in continual decline with sound currency. This is what happens. That's what progress is. That's what industrialization, mechanization, automation, robotics would bring us. It gets easier and easier and easier to provide the things that we, above all, need, like food and clean water and housing. But beyond that, there's all the toys, all those things we just want that we don't really need. We all think we need cars now, but we don't. I mean, these are things that we want, and we can have those things. Do you understand how sound currency would release all the patents that are held up, because that's all about money. So you've got all these clean energy patents with infinite, sources of clean energy out there sitting on the shelves, because it's not in the interest of the dirty fuel companies that those patents be released. It's really that simple, folks. It's the money that keeps the problems from being solved. If you ended crime tomorrow by ending poverty, do you understand what would happen to all the people whose job security depends on the crimes being maintained and preferably proliferated? It's the same with the war. It's the same with diseases. Okay, if some clown comes up with a cure for cancer, do you really think that the medical establishment, the cancer researchers, want that information made widespread? That it was a matter of fact, the mainstream reported a definitive cure for cancer, and these people are all rendered irrelevant. Do you understand how sick the situation we have and how ridiculous it is at this point in history, with unparalleled knowledge, exponentially unprecedented knowledge and wisdom and technology, understanding than ever before in history, wildly unprecedented, that how can this be happening? This is what I find so annoying, so agitating, so infuriating, so frustrating. That I can't contain it. That's why I make these. I have to speak out. I have to share what's on my mind and get it off my chest so I can have some semblance of peace of mind. Because I believe we not only have a right to enjoy our lives and to try to find happiness, but we have an obligation, don't we, to find true happiness and be vested in the right things. And those things have to be real. And if they're real, they last forever. Right values don't go away. I mean, our right values can't be things like silver and gold and money, all this crap. I mean, what use does God have? This stuff is in abundance. I mean, the heavens are full of material. And what God wants is souls. He wants you and me. He wants friends. And our values need to be the same. We've got to see through divine eyes. We've got to be on the same page with God and have the right values. You are my value, and I should be your value. We should value one another as the greatest gift, but you see, our society makes it so hard to do that. Always teaching that we're overpopulated. Always teaching that the problem is there's too many people, taking too many jobs. How stupid is that? The slaves got to beg for work? Hey folks, if there ain't enough work, rejoice. This should be a happy time for the labor force. But look at how miserable it is. Look at what they've done to our hearts and minds and spirits. Look at how these people, they just spread misery. Like it flows out of, it's these top policy makers that are doing this to us. We've got to understand. It's the political whores who are supposed to be serving us, and these magicians, these sorcerers, these money printers printing this counterfeit money they have a copyright to, as if they're legitimate. I mean, law enforcement, wake up to this. These are the criminals that need to be arrested for printing counterfeit money. If we're in debt, we're in debt. That's it. Shut it off. Shut the spigots down tomorrow. Let it collapse like it needs to. We need a reset of economic reality. This is ridiculous. The work week needs to probably be around 10 or 15 hours a week. Wages need to be somewhere around, $25 to $45 an hour, somewhere in that range, with a continually reduced work week, growing prosperity. Every day your money should be worth more. That's what sound currency would bring you. But in order to attain sound currency, you need a couple of things. You need checks and balances. You need accountability. Do you understand? You've got to have some way of holding people's feet to the fire. So it's not enough to give a cost of living adjustment, COLA, okay, and say, well, the cost of living went up. This is how we justify giving cost of living increase, just so we can maintain a minimum standard of living. It's all very basic. It's all very rudimentary. It's all very simply understood. They convolute things so that it's hard to understand. But it's not. It's simple. But it's not enough to do that. What we need to do is to identify the perpetrators, the market manipulators, the price fixers, And these people that are opposed to supply and demand economics, which is true capitalism, which is true free market. It is competitive by nature. And if you're a lender and you overextend yourself, that's your problem. You fall on your face, you bust your teeth out. If you can't find some arm-breaking thug out there to go collect your debt, and you can't use the legal system because you're the idiot that overextended yourself, you're supposed to. And the American people, back in 2008, that's exactly what we wanted for the banksters to happen. We knew what had happened. And I'm not blaming your local lending institution. I'm blaming the top policy makers. They are the culprits. This handful of just diabolical, sinister, clandestine, evil thugs. That's what they are. They're a murderous gaggle of thugs, counterfeiters. They need to be arrested and given due process and put in, better than prisons, put them in ethics rehabilitation centers. This is what these people need. Okay, they need to be corrected. They need to be taught the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated, as you would have them treat you. Okay, if you just did that simple thing, and nobody's going to buy the idea, that's beyond your imagination. I just can't do that. Well, if you're that demon possessed, maybe you deserve something special. Like you got to go to a very painful place, be exiled to an island with people just like yourself, hypocrites, elitists, and that's all. You get to stay on an island with people just like yourself for a period of time and see how you hold up under people just like you. Okay, because what's going to happen once you figure out that nobody's going to serve your sorry butt because they don't like you and they don't want to serve a hypocrite and they realize they're just like that, you end up probably murdering yourselves, starving to death. You won't lift a finger to pick a piece of fruit for your fellow human being, because you're better than them, you're special. Oh, come on. You're going to be the most miserable gaggle of thugs that the earth ever saw. That's what you need. That's what the really evil people need. They need to be segregated, and that's what's coming. One way or another, it's coming. And another reason I make videos is because I want to try to help people prepare. Because I really do believe that these monsterish people at the top, they could keep this charade going until, I don't know, the return of Jesus, because they just pull one scheme after another out of their hat, and this money printing is very powerful. It's a very powerful form of magic. And what they want, the end game for these people at the very top, is depopulation. They want to get rid of people. Now that they know that they don't need people, they don't need this many people to get things done. They don't need the consumers anymore because supply and demand is gone. People would say, well, they don't want to depopulate. They need the slaves. They need the consumers. Yes, if we had supply and demand economics, then you would say you would need consumers. But they don't need that. If people consume half as much gasoline in America, all they do is raise the price by 100%. So they double the price of gasoline, and voila, problem solved. They don't lose a nickel. You get how price fixing works and how it's against and opposite of supply and demand. This is why it's so outrageous. Everybody has to understand this and point the finger. And so when minimum wage is readjusted and the business owners don't like it, well, you say it's your fault. It's your fault for manipulating the housing market. It's your fault, you bankers, for dumping that money on the market. And all you people that went along, it's their fault. That's why. You understand, all we need is one area of our lifestyle, our cost, our burden for living to go up dramatically, and it affects everything else. Okay, and that thing I'm talking about, the commodity that we can't get away from, is the cost of housing. So even if you don't pay anything for housing, you're still paying for it. When you go to your mechanic, he's taking into account what his rent is or what his mortgage is he not? So when he charges you $100 an hour, you understand why he's got to charge you $100 an hour and not $20 an hour. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And it's right down the line. When you go to the doctor, okay, when you go get your car fixed at the auto body shop, okay, when your gardener cuts your grass, okay, on and on and on. Do you understand how it affects everything? Because everybody's got to pay the same cost of living. Their rent is high maybe. Their mortgage is high because rent and mortgage are like this. That's the way the landlords work. They call it, oh, I'm just looking at the going market.